can we build communities around the impact we want to make in the world? How do we get people engaged and excited to support our missions when everyone is so busy already? How do we get others to care? This season will bring you people that decide to look closer. They look where others have turned away. They are building communities to make a positive impact. I am Regina Larco, and this is #Impact, a podcast about stuff that matters. Today, we welcome a very special guest, a woman that I have known for more than 2 decades and one of my best friends. We first met at University of Vienna when we both studied sinology, and our lives and careers brought us to different professions, countries, and continents. And today we are here to talk about something that is very close to both of our hearts. We will talk about an adventure that's both beautiful and heartbreaking, something that fills us personally with so much love, joy, but also rage and despair. Welcome to #Impact, Marlene Hofer. Are you here?
Yeah, I was not sure if I'm supposed to react. I'm not a podcast pro yet.
Oh my gosh. I knew this was going to be a really special one because we talk a lot, but we usually don't record these conversations. I'm so glad we get to do this today.
We don't. But today when I got mentally ready for the recording, I thought about the story you always tell, or you told me, like long after we had met at the university, like how you saw me or when you saw me for the first time, a moment that I hadn't remembered. And it always makes me smile.
Oh, yes. And hey, you know me all too well because this is actually what I want to do with you before we start. Yes, I want to do a little fun exercise with you. This is something I usually don't do on the podcast, but I thought, this is us. So I want to give a bit credit to how we met, actually. Yeah, you just brought it up, that very first encounter, and this moment also happened in our native tongue. Yeah, we are both Austrian. We usually speak German to each other, and for our English listeners, please just bear with us here for a few seconds. I think you will anyway feel the spirit and the energy of that first encounter, because I want to reenact that scene, in our native tongue. Yeah. So I'm just going to set the scene, and then I will just try to reenact this moment with you. So the scene is we are like I had just turned 18. You must have been 19. So I just realized that actually yesterday, as I put this down in writing, that we were
almost
19, right? So you were also 18. Yes, we were both 18. We were teenagers, right? Walking into that University of Vienna Sinology Department registration office. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to switch to German now. Ja. Und dann gehe ich hinein. Ja. Und das ist ein kleines Institut, ja. Also das ist ein kleiner Raum, das ist nicht groß. Da waren noch nicht viele Menschen. Da ist eine nette, ich glaube, es war auch eine andere Studentin, die da auch war. Und ich stelle mich da halt mal an, hinter einer wunderschönen, großen, blonden, energetischen, jungen Frau. Dir, ja, du, Marlene, stehst da vor mir und sagst, was? Nein, warte, wie was? Und ich sag, nein, und die fragt mich bei dem Büro, wie ist denn deine Matrikelnummer? Diese Studentennummer, die halt jeder bekommt, wenn man anfängt zu studieren. Und ich ich weiß die weiß ich nicht auswendig. Ich muss jetzt den Ausweis suchen und ich fange halt an, den irgendwo daher rauszukramen. Und dann, was machst du in diesem Moment, Marlene?
Was? Du weißt deine Matrikelnummer noch nicht?
Aber es war mehr Empörung. Also bitte noch einmal die Empörung und auch vielleicht
Im
im
Dialekt.
ja, und vor allem
Was? Du weißt deine Matrikelnummer noch nicht? Ungefähr, das war wahrscheinlich 3 Tage nach der Immatrikulation, oder? Also die Nummer hatten wir noch nicht lange.
Wir hatten diese Nummer noch nicht lange. Ja.
Weißt du sie jetzt noch?
01, darf man das sagen? Ist das irgendwie Datenschutz oder so? Ich kann das sagen. 01 07 702. Sonst muss ich es rausschneiden, wenn man das nicht sagen darf. Das ist meine Matrikelnummer. Die bleibt einem nämlich für immer. Selbst wenn ich jetzt wieder studieren beginnen würde, gell?
Ja. Dann war ich offensichtlich ein bisschen länger als du immatrikuliert, weil meine ist 01 06 779.
Okay. Ah.
Also das fertigt dann meine Empörung, warum du deine Nummer noch nicht wusstest, weil ich wahrscheinlich 1 Stunde früher immatrikuliert habe.
Okay. Thank you, English-speaking listeners, for feeling into that situation. It's just one of these moments, when you maybe don't realize in that very moment how life-changing it is. But that's the moment you came into my life, dear Marlene.
Yes, and I'm so happy you remember so precisely because honestly, like I said in the beginning, I did not remember that moment, and I also was not aware of how you saw me and how you perceived me. I remember that I met you, but I don't remember this exact moment. So I think we must have talked more later on. And then you told me about our first meeting, but that was also very much later, I think, because, we just started studying, we hung out, we studied in the afternoons together, we had our lunch breaks with the famous noodle soup. So, yeah, it when you talk about it, it makes me feel like I already felt like a grown-up somehow, maybe. And I don't even know if I always feel like a grown-up now. Sometimes now I know that I'm a grown-up, on quotes, because I have kids. So I have to be a grown-up because I also need to take care of them. It's not just about me anymore. But at this office, somehow I must have given the impression of having it all under control. Yes. And I mean, you also managed to study and have it all under control in a way. You even went on and did your master's, which I didn't because I moved on to study medicine.
And that brings us to where we are today. Even though it's hard to put in just a few sentences what you are all about today. But if we would want to put it in a few sentences, then we would say, Marlene, you are a psychiatrist, you are a psychotherapist, and let me do that again. I can do better than this for you, Marlene. I'm not going to cut this out because we're going to keep this raw and beautiful. But Marlene, you are a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, and a postpartum doula. You have 2 daughters, and you are very passionate about your work in general, and of course about your life and your friends and about your family. But when we look at your work, you are very drawn to most recently working with women and mothers, and you are building a nourishing and nurturing community through the conversations you are sharing online on your channel, Grow Human, that I will link in the show notes as well, that everyone can check out. So an online community, but also offline, like in real life, for mothers in Zurich, Switzerland, where you live. And I just maybe we can start there, because I just love that name of your community and how it came to be. And that name of your community is The Village.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, the village, it's just a part of what I do. But it's also very, yeah, how do you say it? The name tells what's behind it. And the village is a WhatsApp group that I formed through my Instagram channel, where I invited people or women. It's only women. I can say that, yes, who were either pregnant or already had kids or were planning on having kids. And it's a quite, yeah, let's say semi-intimate space where we can share and ask questions and also like exchange things. So it's for practical things, but it's also for like advice. It's for trying to organize a meetup if you're stuck at home with your kids and don't know what to do because it's raining all day. Then you could use it any way that you can imagine. There's some people in the chat group that know each other personally, but there's also some people and women who have never met in real life. So it's an open group. You can invite friends, but it's also small enough to be, it's not in the hundreds or in the thousands, at least not yet. It's a very open and yet safe space. And I am very active on it. Some people are just reading, are just listening, like it is in every kind of vessel or channel, I suppose. But some are really reaching out and sharing their moments about struggles or joys. Yeah, things they want to like get for the kids or things they want to have advice about traveling. So everything you can imagine that you would ask yourself in the process of becoming a mom, you could put it there or you could find it there. So yeah, I'm very happy. Sometimes it's quiet for a while and then somebody pops in with a question and it starts exploding with messages. Yeah. So yeah, I really like it. It's easygoing and yeah, also something that you can easily use. You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to be anywhere. It's easy with the kids. So I think that's really important to have this kind of vessel for young mothers or also later on, of course.
Yeah, because that's what we are talking here about today. I used some words to describe it, right, before. Love, joy, rage, despair. Motherhood is something that I think is something that is so overwhelmingly, I don't even find words for it. Like, it's both
Diverse.
What was the word you used?
Diverse. It's
Diverse.
so
Yeah, it's so,
overwhelmingly diverse.
yes.
Everything comes
And everyone experiences it in different ways, and it's so unique to ourselves, but that can also make the experience really lonely at times, I felt.
mm-hmm.
And that's where, yeah, I think that's where, yeah, that's where I just wanted to start with you as well, because how have you experienced that becoming of a mom?
Mm-hmm.
How are you still experiencing it, right? Because we're in
Yes.
it. We will be in it for the rest of our lives,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. That's sometimes a fact that I wrestle inside because it's going to be forever, like really forever. So, but I think when I got pregnant or when I thought like, okay, let's have kids, that was not something that I anticipated. So it just happened. And in a way that's good and beautiful that you don't really know what you're getting into. But of course, like I had my first kid and then very quickly afterwards we decided on having a second one and I really got pregnant right away. So that happened super fast. And I think the first one, everything was very uncomplicated, except from like nausea, but that passed after 4 months. But it was kind of easygoing. She was sleeping. I started going back to work. And then after a while, I was pregnant again. And I think motherhood really hit me with the second kid only, even though I had a first one and it was a very transformative experience. But I think everything, all the layers that come with like the struggles or trying to do everything at once, it happened after I had Alma, I think. Yeah, or maybe in the pregnancy also, when I was very like sick. I was throwing up a lot. I was working all the time. I had my little kid at home who was 1 and something years old, so very young. I was struggling in a way, and it was not only a struggle, it was also very beautiful. But like the hormones and all the physical stuff that comes with pregnancy, it really it took a toll, and it made me think a lot. After Alma was born, our sleep was quite disturbed for a long time, so it took us a long time to even gain some energy back, because we were not sleeping properly. So neither I nor Jason, but that's maybe too long of a story. And then I decided on, I need to do something. The first was like, I need to do something for myself. But of course, that for myself is mostly also connected to others. So of course, I studied medicine because I'm interested in it. I did it for myself, but I'm a doctor and I'm a therapist. So I'm doing stuff for other people. It's not for myself. So when I decided on getting trained as a postpartum doula, I wanted to do it for myself. It was my space. I'm really a curious person. I really enjoy getting to know stuff, learn new stuff, talk to people. So I opened this field just for myself. And then when I was in the middle of it, I realized that this is something that really, yeah, it's for everyone who has a family, everyone who has a mom, everyone who has kids or wants kids, or even doesn't have to have kids. It's just a process that forms our society from the bottom up. And I think while I was in it and while I was doing it, and then when I decided to really work with it, not just having the knowledge and a little community, but put it out there. So when I like launched my Instagram, which was very on an impulse, I just started. And 2 days later, I had my first client. I hadn't even thought about like, what am I going to do? But it just happened. So it was all very like an organic process where I got myself into. And now I think working with mothers or with women and trying to support them in different ways, it's a political act for me. I never considered myself as being a political person, but in a way, I think I totally am. And I'm really passionate about this because I think it's something that's supposed to just happen. No one really looks at it. On the other side, everyone has all these like images of what are mothers supposed to be, how are they like, how do they behave, what are they supposed to feel even. And on the other hand, it's just like, deal with it yourself. Maybe talk about it to your sister, but just don't show what you're going through. Go to work, but stay at home. We all know those mixed messages where you can really get caught in. And some women do. So that's really something that I want to change. And I met a lot of great women along this way that I instinctively felt drawn to. So it's either I went to their like group sports classes, or they do a certain kind of training in yoga, and I think they have the same vision and the same message. So I just go to their classes and connect with them because I like them and I like the way they work and what they know. So there's something growing out of it that's also bigger than myself, which of course it's not about me at all, but it's just my message that I share with other people. And that's also really funny because the name Grow Human, I don't really, in retrospect, I don't really know why I picked it, but it makes perfect sense for everything, because when you're pregnant, you grow a human, but you also grow as a human, and then you grow the community. So everything is growing, and we're all human. So it's not about women or men or kids or, I don't know, non-binary people. It's just about the human experience. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's a long, I did a long monologue now.
It makes so much sense. And I love how you reference that into how that took you by surprise as well. Like that, like this is actually a political act. I love how you put that. And I love it even more because there were many things that you shared on your Grow Human channel. I've seen it come to life from day one. But the one thing I picked that I wanted to read out and actually read back to you, you know, these are your words, but I wanted to bring this in here, and I think, well, it will make perfect sense why I loved what you just said so much and what I will share now. Because this is a picture I will put the link in the show notes as well so that everyone can see the picture too. Yeah. So it's a picture of you that your daughter took. Yeah. And there you write, my daughter took this snapshot of me tonight that I just found on my phone by chance. And I'm still amazed at how fast she grows up. And I'm wondering what she sees when she looks at me. Becoming a mother has definitely made me more aware of who I am, how I want to be with my kids and my partner, and how I am perceived by society. Social norms are the tank where we mothers must swim in. And it's not always easy waters to navigate. They can be murky and suffocating. These norms are very much formed by a patriarchal system that is not built for women and even less for mothers. Being aware of the structures and rules we live by make it easier to find our way on this path that is reshaping and redefining us constantly. I have the vision to reshape and rebuild from the bottom up, one woman, mother, daughter, family at a time.
Oh, wow. That really sounds like a political message. Yeah, I obviously need people to read it back to me so that I realize what I put into words, because it just happens. I mean, it happens. I don't have a dedicated day or time right now where I say okay, I work on social media, I go to work, I have my kids. It's like I do it on the in-between sometimes. So it really, I'm humbled by myself that I put this into words, and that was not too long ago. Wow. Yeah. So why did you pick this one?
You know how I always look to inspire people here at Hashtag Impact with the things that they can do on a individual level, like that one person that could do something about something today that could have a ripple effect. And that's what you say there, from the bottom up, like one woman, one mother, one daughter, one family at a time. And I think that's what you do so beautifully also in your postpartum doula work. You go in people's homes to work with that one woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an act of kindness and generosity and an act of impact of what big difference does that actually make for that woman to be mothering the mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something you're so passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that is, I think, so, looking at my own experience becoming a mom, it's the last thing I was focusing on. I was trying to keep a little baby alive there. And all of a sudden, maybe that's also something that came up for me in your work now, as I've been following your journey as you started talking about these things. And also these beautiful book club recommendations you give on your channel and all the discussions that you're starting and collaborations that have come of it, that when this baby comes in our life, this child, all of a sudden, all the attention is on that kid, that baby. And as it should, because this baby is relying on us to survive, we need to focus on that baby. And we so passionately do, even if it's super hard. But also all around us, like, when I was pregnant, everyone was so much so caring for me. I loved being pregnant because I felt like everyone was just taking extra care with me. It felt really lovely. But then once that baby leaves my body, I realized it was not about caring for me. They was caring for that
Caring for the
for
transporter.
the baby in the belly. Keep that baby safe,
Caring
And
for the vessel.
and I think that's what I mean with heartbreak. Like a lot of heartbreak I felt about becoming a mother is that it's, where am I in this?
And while it makes perfect sense that the mother and the baby are a unit, even after the baby is born, like the first year, they say, like they're still growing outside of our bodies so fast, they are totally dependent. They cannot survive without being nurtured and cuddled and really taking in. So maybe they can survive, but they cannot thrive. So that's the human condition, that the woman and the kid are connected. But that's why it's also so easy and a real pitfall that women lose themselves in the process because they give so much and they dissolve. They do not even transform in the process of becoming a mother. They also, they kind of their boundaries and their everything gets mixed up and transported to the baby. And if your surroundings are also not aware of it and support you in like keeping yourself whole and wholesome, then it's really tricky because, of course, they focus on the baby too, but everyone else outside of the mother should focus on the mother because the mother really needs it. So that's also something that gets lost or that got lost, because I know there are societies and ways of living where it was not like this. So everyone was taking care of the mother. And that's also where the village comes back in. We don't typically have a village anymore. I mean, you moved continents. You got lucky when your parents, I mean, your mom and her partner, her now husband, that they were travelers. They were willing to take the plane. They were organizing all of their trainings all over the world so that they could come see you. You had a few friends. I mean, like me, I was really traveling Asia a lot. I always made sure to stop in Hong Kong so that we could just stay in touch. But that's not natural, right? I mean, the village means typically people who are surrounding you, where it's easy. They go in, they go out, they bring stuff, they do stuff. It's all very natural, and we have to work for our village, and we even have to pay for our village. It's not like this right now that the basic insurance covers for postpartum doulas. There is work to be done. But if you have a few close friends and a family and a partner who understands this, and that's also why talking about it is so important, it will make a big difference. It could be one person, it could be two persons. It doesn't have to be a village of 20 people, but it's just like being aware what happens to the mom and the baby, and what happens to the mom if everything goes to the baby. And that's why I think it's not only political, but it's also a very important, it has a very important role in the mental health for mothers, because you prevent so much stress and hardship and even diseases, mental illness, it's like, if you know what's going on, and if you act accordingly, everyone in the family will be healthier and happier. And that's the bottom of the society, right? The family is the small unit that builds everything else. So I think there needs to be a big rethinking of the societal structures nowadays in our society because of
I heard a really interesting conversation on a podcast recently that I will put in the show notes as well, where Ezra Klein was interviewed about his experience of, like, from a father's perspective. And they were talking a lot about that as well, about these structures and about the village that is missing. And there was something interesting he said that really struck me. I wanted to bring that up with you, where he said, we all feel it. Like when we become parents, we have that impact, right? Like it's life is never the same. But there is something about that, and we want things to change. Like we are angry at these systems don't work for these. And you've talked about this as well on your channel, like the way we currently live in our very isolated little family units, right? But then he said that this phase when the kids are very small, that acute phase, it passes, right? Like passes in a way that kids become a bit older. And as I see now with my kids, as they're getting a little bit out of that, newborn state and toddler age, and they're outgrowing it, certain things do become easier again. And that was his theory why nothing changes, is that the urgency is always just shifted from one part of the society to the next, like almost like we forget. Like we are in this urgent situation now and we want to make a change, but then our life moves on and things get easier for us, and we are fine again. What do you feel about that?
Totally interesting way of seeing it, and it makes sense. We are so individualistic that we don't see other people's struggles anymore. But now that I'm exposed to all this happening, also in a professional field, also in my work as a psychiatrist, I mean, I see people's problems, I hear people's problems, and no single mental illness or struggle can be put out of the societal tank. So everything has to be seen in connection to the surroundings. So I will not forget. That's why probably I won't shut up, even though it maybe moves away from my own struggles, and it might also form my interests a little bit. I mean, I think maybe I will not focus on that specific phase all my life. But I will not forget it because I chose to look at it. It's people who go on with their lives. They also don't have any time to look at it. They have other struggles. I mean, the first time probably you have a little bit, you have a few weeks or a few months in Switzerland. It's quite short. You only get 4 months after having a baby that are like paid. And afterwards you have to deal with your with your boss and your work if you want to stay home longer or whatever you arrange. So you don't have that much time, and then you're in it and you know how it works. I mean, you have 3 kids, you are self-employed, you have your business, you try to navigate your marriage, you have a family, life events happen everywhere. So of course you cannot focus on the things that don't hurt you anymore. But if you're in a close community where you really look at and listen to other people, what they are going through, you cannot really look away. And that's why I say it's connected to everything, because it's not just about mothers. Because how we treat the mothers, how we treat the young families, that's a symbol of how society runs. And that's also what Ezra Klein says in a way. It's just like the pace is fast, doesn't hurt anymore, let's just go on. But we can maybe revert it a little bit. I don't know. I want to. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. It's also why I work with people, because I always know, even if I don't change a lot most of the times, I know that there is the possibility to change. There's the room to change. I don't like going to regular doctors because they usually have between 5 and 10 minutes of asking you some questions. And I always think like, how? I mean, even just maybe my stomach aches or whatever. How can they understand what's going on? They cannot. When I need like weeks of hour-long discussions with my patients, how can they? So also, you cannot build friendships, you cannot understand your neighbors if you don't listen to them.
So how do you listen? How do you do that? I have to say, and I try to keep this very, very professional here, like hashtag impact guest, I think I'm doing good. I think we're doing good so far. But of course, you are my friend for so many years, and there's just something about the way you listen, my dear Marlene, that is just outstanding. Outstanding. And I yeah, how can we learn that from you, right? So those are a lot of questions here now. Like listening, like how do you do that? But then also, how do you bring that skill that you are practicing day in and day out to your work you do as a postpartum doula?
That's funny. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you to say. When I was growing up, I also really like talking, so I'm not always only listening. I had also like very close friends tell me like, Marlene, you never listen to me, or you don't listen, because I listen and then sometimes I have my thoughts and then I talk straight away. So maybe I was not always that good at listening, but I'm just curious. That's why I listen. Yeah. And I don't listen to everyone, but I think I listen where it's necessary, hopefully. Sometimes I might fail people or don't hear them properly. But how do I cultivate the skill? I don't know, actually. That's not something that you learn in training. You learn how to pose the correct questions and how not to interrupt the process when someone is talking. But the quality of listening, I don't even really know. I'm just very curious, and when I care about something, I listen. It's my instinct, probably. And also, I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing, the family constellation, and my role in the family that I always played, or think I had to play. I think that's what I'm good at. But also, it's like yesterday I read something, I don't know where, that we choose the professions that are good for our personality. So there's the feelers and the thinkers. And I'm not a thinker, but obviously my profession is more for the feelers. So I don't know, it happened very organically. Also here, I did not really think about it too much. But you listen to people all the time, you interview them, so maybe you know what's special about it, or you can put your finger on one quality that makes it outstanding, as you said.
I'm still exploring it. I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's the factor, I think one big key factor about it is like taking the time. And also, we are far apart. We're a little bit closer now, but we always took the time, even in between continents and 5 kids now, to listen to each other, right? So it's a question of priorities. So of course we missed stuff along the way, but we always decided on looking closely when something seemed to go wrong, or when someone was celebrating their wins. It does not take a lot of time to tune into your podcast every once in a while, even though I don't have the time to listen to every single episode anymore. But still, I kind of know what's going on because I prioritize it, because I think it's necessary. That I really like the connections. I don't like the superficial chit chat. It can be nice, but that's not sustainable for more than 20 years. So I think it's just the way I do my relationships.
And when it comes to your work as a doula, do you want to give us a little bit as a taste of it? Because I always feel when you talk about that on your channel, I felt it's a little bit like I got a bit lucky there, because I mentioned at one point, oh, I wish so much like that I would have had you as my doula, right? But you were like in another continent even. But I feel like I did have you, even though you were not like you were not.
I wasn't a doula.
you weren't a doula, right? But just to have your support, like what we just discussed, like to have someone to listen, to actually pay attention to, hey, hello, lovely baby. And you met them when they were tiny, right? In Hong Kong. And it was like, hello, little baby. Lovely to meet you. But I was still there for you. Not saying that others didn't see me anymore, but there was just a different quality of how you also cared, like for me in this. Like, are you well? Like, are you nourished? Are you, let me give you a massage, like just that, just the touch, the physical touch. When you were like, oh, come, let me give you like let me give you a massage,
a back rub,
a back rub, right? I was like, I would have never asked for it, but you just, did it.
Because I enjoyed going into the women's or the families' homes after they have given birth very recently. It's two things. When I started out, I never imagined it being so practical, because I mean, there's also women who have more kids already, and for them it's about having food cooked, fresh, nourishing food that sustains them for the week, that sustains them for breastfeeding, that sustains them for recovering from like giving birth, which is also a very physical experience. It's not only like transforming our mindset and everything. So it can be very practical. It happens that I go in there and I cook for I'm there at around maybe 4 hours. And then I cook for 3.5 hours, like a manic. Like I do so much stuff, and I really, when I leave, I'm like, wow, I did all this, and I know that it's really appreciated. So this is the one part. And the other part, like of being there and listening, it happens in the in-between moments sometimes. Because maybe the mom is just breastfeeding or feeding or having a tea, and like going from one room back to the bed, and I'm cooking, and then I come back and I also give my massage. But it's not that we can take the time in the beginning and sit there and say like, okay, let's talk. So it also happens very like, if it happens, it happens. And sometimes afterwards, I mean, I'm still in touch with my clients afterwards. They will tell me like how they experienced it. While they're in it, they are so in it, they cannot go to this meta perspective. Sometimes they do, but afterwards they will tell me, okay, this was like this, I experienced it like this, or this was so supportive, or you really like, you made me feel for this 5 minutes that I'm here and that I'm important. And of course I hold the baby and I can help change it, and what I have experience with that as well. But I focus on the mom, and it's a very practical thing. That's also why I think you don't necessarily have to be trained as a doula. It's something that you know how to do. If you know how to take care of your friends, if you know how to take care of moms, of course it helps to have knowledge of like what kind of food is best, what kind of herbs do I use, how do I cook like warm and more oily food. All of this helps, like the belly binding practice, it helps, but you don't have to do much. I mean, your best friend could be a doula, obviously. Maybe read something, cook something the mom likes. You just have to do it.
You just have to do it.
And I do what I wish that people do for me, of course. So I try to be open and listen what they need, but I work from the heart. So I do what I would have wanted to have while I was postpartum. And I had my mom there and my partner who were both very hands-on, but also they were like juggling the kid and the daycare drop-offs and making food, of course. But I was there, and even though they were both there, I was not really taken care of in the way that I would have wanted to, probably. I don't know. So there's still always room.
No, I feel we're only just getting started.
With the conversation or with the work?
When both, right? We're only just getting started, but maybe this can be an invitation to everyone that listened to us today to start exploring that, like what you just said, like how can we also take care of each other better in that phase where we have friends in our lives that are going through that major transformative experience of growing human and becoming a mother and just being there with them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find a way to wrap this up, and I'm doing a really poor job at it.
Fast words, like no quick fire. Did you like dump the quick fire? I couldn't hear the last.
I'm trying to find a smooth transition over to the quick fire because I feel, but that's what is every good conversation. I think that always, I know that the recording was a success when I know I actually have so many more questions now. And I just want to continue. And I wish we could just keep going for another 5 hours. Then I know I've done something right, like for myself, but hopefully also for others that want to now also connect with you, So I invite everyone to follow your channel. I will put the grow _ is this how you say it correctly? Like Instagram grow _ human on your Instagram, and reach out to Marlene and see what she offers, with a lot of inspiration and care, and always makes me really happy to read. And while I read your post, I always hear your voice, It's as if I hear your voice.
Thank you. Yeah, even though I mostly write in English, you still hear my voice.
Yes, I do. I do.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. But of course, Marlene, I won't let you go until you go through the legendary quick fire round with me. You waited for it for all those years, right? Finally, we get to do it. Have you practiced?
Something missing? No, huh? I have. No, I just realized that something is missing from the podcast, and then I noticed, it's the quick fire round.
You cannot go without it. I just tried to find a really smooth transition over.
Okay.
Didn't do a great job at it, but I think it makes it just even better that it was the way it was. Making an impact means
presence.
Who inspires you in the way they build community?
You.
Oh. And what could everyone do right now to make the world a better place?
Make some time and space to listen to one another.
Yeah. Let's all do that. Who are you going to listen to today?
I'm going on a training for general psychiatry. It's going to be a webinar. I don't know who is speaking, but I'm going to listen very closely in my original field of work. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this with me, Marlene. Dankeschön.
Thank you, danke. Ja.
Das war, ja.
I'm excited to listen to it later on. Then I will realize what I'm actually talking about. Die Außenperspektive.
Die Außenperspektive. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? That's the power of it as well. Like when we get to re-listen, that will bring up even more questions. And I know I'm really lucky because I have the privilege to actually have those conversations with you. Right? And I'm looking forward to that. And I also want to say I'm really glad that you are in my life. You know? I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you. So,
young teenager that I bumped into and look at what we've become already. Right? I'm really proud of us, and I'm really proud of you and how you show up for your friends, for your family, for your daughters, for your partner, but also for yourself. Like that's a huge inspiration to me. It really inspires me.
Thank you. Danke.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to see you at one of our next community calls. So reach out to me if you want to join at hello@impact.com. This is a free offering for our #Impact community, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you there. I talk to you soon. Bye.